Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm reviewing Honey Boy. So Honey Boy is a semi-autobiographical film by Shia Labeouf. And honestly, I was really intrigued to see how this movie would play out. I heard some positive buzz about it. And the concept of a person playing someone who is basically their own father in a film about their young childhood and their turbulent relationship with their father was really interesting to me. There's a lot you can say about Shia Labeouf, but he takes a lot of risks, and he does make some very artistic films, and he always seems to put his all into his projects, even if it is a little off the rails sometimes. So a little background on this film. It was written by him while he was in rehab as part of his process of dealing with his traumas and his issues. So the idea of him playing in this movie that's written by him, dealing with some of the things that he dealt with on his personal life, really shines through with his performance. You can tell that this is a project he is very passionate about. You can tell this is a project he is putting his all into. And at times it is a little bit much. It feels very, very personal and something that does detach from the audience. It does have a little bit of a self-servingness to it. And you do know that this is dealing with his own personal life, but the performance itself was excellent. And while he was excellent playing the father of the main character of the film, Otis Lort, who is inspired by him, I thought that Noah Jupe, who plays the young version of Otis, inspired by Shia LaBeouf, did a really, really good job. We've had a lot of really solid child performances this year. I thought that Roman Griffin Davis in Jojo Rabbit was excellent. This was another performance by a young actor who has a bright future in Hollywood. I haven't seen him in anything, but he had some really standout scenes, in particular when he's having the conflicts with his father and he fully explodes. He's had enough of his father's antics, enough of his father's addiction, and having that lash out, having a child who is trying to grow up and almost take care of their own parent, was really powerful, and I think he portrayed that role excellently. Lucas Hedges is also in this film, playing a slightly older Otis, and you're really seeing how his life has led him to act the way that he has, how he's been influenced by his childhood and by his father and having to grow up at a young age. It's really hard to watch some of the scenes in this film. In particular, there are some scenes dealing with addiction, and there's some scenes dealing with prostitution, particularly with the young Otis, and it has a very fine line of being very heartfelt, very heartwarming, and almost creepy at a time, but that blend is really what makes the movie shine, in my opinion. You're taking some hard-to-watch things, and some really hard-hitting things that we may not have seen in past films, like the idea of young fame and being a child actor and having your father rely on you or your family rely on you, and you shouldering that burden at a very young age, being forced to grow up, and being in not the best situation financially in your home life, and having that blend with the comedy of someone who has a very lighthearted nature. Otis has a heart of gold in this film many times, and having him being put into these situations, and that contrast really is the power of this film. And like how I said this movie is a little rough around the edges, that is, basically the hallmark of the film. It isn't extremely well polished. It does have some shifts in tone, some shifts in timeline. It goes back and forth a lot. It's very meandering, and it's basically just the story of this kid. It's not really leading to anything. It does have a bit of a conclusion, a lot of messages that I think would resonate more with the author of the film than the audience of the film. It has an important idea, and it executes that idea very well, but at the same time, as someone who's a passive observer of these events, there aren't really necessarily a lot of stakes. There isn't really a real plot to it. It's just a simple idea of this boy working through his problems as a young adult and trying to come to terms with his relationship with his father and how that molds who he is as a person. So those concepts in of themselves are very interesting and very well executed. Just the movie itself doesn't have a lot going on with it. It's pretty bare bones. But as someone who was in it, so Shia LaBeouf as actually this character, playing this character, you can tell it means a lot to him. And that is something special that we don't see a lot. But as a mass appeal film, I don't know if it would appeal to everyone. And while I've said a lot about him writing the movie and starring in the movie, it actually is directed by Alma Harrell. It's her directorial debut, her narrative debut of a film. And I thought it was really well done. It's a movie that has a lot going on in it. You have a lot of things dealing with Shia LaBeouf and his life and him having it be in his imagined way of his life. It's not referencing him. It's not saying that it is a biography. It is a movie that is about a boy who basically has his early life. I researched a little bit more about it to see if that's who his father really was, how he really acted, and it seems to really get at the crux of his issues, and her being able to, navigate that. I'm sure there was a lot going on in production in this film. You got a pretty solid end product. So if I were to rate Honey Boy, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, it's a little rough around the edges, but I think the moments that shine through, the performances that shine through, just the passion that's behind this project really elevates it to a different level. It doesn't feel like something that was made for mass audiences. It feels like something that he made for himself and something that he wants people that maybe has his same journey to understand. People that have conflicts with their parents or, shouldering a big burden at a young age. I think it would really appeal to a small group of people in a really powerful way. All right, guys, so let me know what you thought of Honey Boy if you've seen it so far. I have to say, Amazon has had some quality films coming out this year. This and The Report that really shine as the movies they're putting out. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you next time.